How many people you got? 1. Four. Right. Hello. Welcome to this week's show. Of course, we've got Telford coming up this weekend. Lots of people are excited about that, and I should be going as well. Just a Saturday this year. It will actually be my first year and my first time at a modelling show of any kind. So I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, back to where we were with this. Now we're going to look at the final episode this time, which is going to be weathering. Weathering is a vast topic all on its own. What is weathering? Well, weathering is taking something that looks new and making it look old, or making it look as though it's crashed, or making it look like it's exploded or it's on fire. So in other words, taking an item and changing its appearance so that it looks aged in some way, shape or form. This is achieved by using various products. We've got the general washes. Now these are specific washes that generally come in, like there'll be a dark, a light, concrete, UMP do algae, and they do a couple of others. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're what I consider your basic base washes. Then you've got the more specialized washes, the likes that AK do. For example, this is an exhaust wash. It's slightly different to the general washes. I don't know how, but it is. I'm not a chemist, so and then you've got fuel stains. Again, that I'm sure there's probably just some oil in here, or some sort of diesel or something. I don't know. Don't take me word on that. I'm just there's probably not. And then there's pigments. Pigments basically are like a powder, and you can use them, and they'll set on the model. And they come in a variety of flavors themselves. This one's smoke, but you can get rust, you can get dirt, you can get light dirt. There's so many. The weathering on its own is a whole, well, it's almost a whole hobby on its own. I don't know whether it was around years ago. To be honest, I can't remember whether it was around years ago. I don't remember it being around when I built my Thunderbird, when I was about Thunderbird. What am I going on about? When I built my, I can't remember the name of the plane now. No, it's got 2 A9s. It's got the. Anyway, forget that. Forget that. We'll gloss over that bit. Sorry, I lost my train of thought a bit because we just had an incident in the house. So Daniel's cut his tongue and he's been bleeding everywhere. So anyway, they're the washes, and as I say, there's a whole array of stuff that can be done. And then, I mean, to give you an idea, you can even get magazines that to specifically design. This one's a new one that's come out. This is damaged. And then you've got the weathering set of magazines, which most modelers know about. And these, you know, they're excellent. They just take a specific topic each month and then break it down into various segments so that you can learn from it. I've got a review of this one on my channel, I haven't done these two yet. I've only just got these. I think they got them yesterday, but I will be looking at them at a later time. So, right, now this is a little disclaimer. I'm absolutely shit at weathering. I'm not very good at it. It's one of my weakest skill sets. But I will endeavour to show you what I know to the best of my ability, and hopefully you can take that, run with it, and you will probably get better results than I will. The principle of what I show you is pretty much the same. It's just technique that needs refining. So the whole thing with this kit was to try and do it the way you would do it if you were first time and you didn't have anything at home to use. Now, I don't think I can carry that brief forward with weathering. Now, I know you can do pencils and you can use oils, but I've got little to no idea how to use those at the moment. I've only just started using oils in the form of oil brushes, which I've got, which are these. I'm not confident enough in using them yet. It's something I'm practicing with, and I hope to include them in another demonstration in episodes to come. So these are all things I'm working on now for future episodes. So today I'm going to stick with what I'm best at in weathering, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to briefly tell you how I prepared this plane, because when we left it we put a matte coat over it. Now then, the matte coat really is unsuitable for weathering on. Now the reasons for this is on a microscopic level, a matte coat, if you can imagine, let's use this analogy if we can. So if you can imagine, this is your matte coat, all rough and, well, matte. And then this, what have I got? This will do. This would be your gloss coat. So smooth, nice and smooth. Now the reason for this is, if you were to put your weathering products on the matte coat, this for example, they would all settle down in all them little bumps and ridges and that, and then they become a real pig to get off. You can't get them off. So you're left with them on there and it looks a complete mess. With a gloss coat, you can put your weathering on, it'll sink in into the panel lines and places where you want it to, and then you can wipe over the top and all the excess will just wipe straight off the top of the gloss coat. It won't do any damage to your paint underneath, and it's all good to go. Once you've applied your weathering to the gloss coat, you're happy with the finish, you can then go and spray your matte coat over the top and give it a covering to seal it in. And all sealing it in is basically, as it says, you're sealing all the work in so that you can pick it up, because some of this stuff, in particular smoke pigment and stuff like that, you'll see is incredibly messy. It gets everywhere. You'll find that some certain materials in the modeling world, they just get everywhere. Flocking springs to mind, and also the some of the metallizer powders are dreadful for it. They just coat everything, so you've got to be really careful with them. And what tends to happen if you've got you've put your smoke, say you want your smoke all down the side, you've used powders, and then you come along, I don't know, 12 hours later, you pick your plane up, you've got your best shirt on, you put your plane down, all very nice, and then you wipe your shirt or whatever, and all of a sudden you've got great big black streaks down your shirt because the powder's still on the surface. That's why you need to seal it in. Spray over with your matte coat, then you can pick it up later on and you're not going to get covered in shit. So it's always important to do that. So when we left it last week, I put the matte coat on. Wrongly, I will admit, I should have put the gloss coat on first. So all I've done is I've put a gloss coat on during the week so that it's prepped ready, because I didn't want to be waiting. If I'd have put it on tonight, we'd have had to wait till next week to finish the weathering. So other things you can use for weathering, you can use chalk. You can chop chalk up into a powder and mix it with I guess a thinner or a paint, a thinner and paint, and really water it down. You can use that as a wash if you want to. You know, if you can't afford to buy a proper wash, then you can get away with doing that. Unfortunately, I've only just thought of that idea. If I'd have thought of that this morning, I probably would have mixed some chalk up and we could have done that. But I have only just thought of that, so we'll have to go with this. So first of all, we're going to try doing. We're going to do a couple of panel lines. Now this is an old Spitfire. Most of the panel lines are raised. So obviously we can't do them, but there are a couple that are not raised. I'm just having a look to see. Yeah, we've got a couple that are not raised, so we will attempt to do some panel lines on that. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to leave that bottle open, pick a fairly decent brush out, and so what you want to do with this, stop it from dripping, I'm just going to put a sheet of kitchen roll underneath, and you may hear the term capillary action a lot when you first start watching modeling videos when it comes to panel lines. And what is capillary action? Well, I will endeavour to show you. I'm just checking now. Some of these panel lines are quite full because we had to put a lot of paint on the bottom. So we'll just give it a go. So you load your brush up, or the point of your brush, and then you just, the idea is to just touch the area of the panel line. No, it's not going to work on this, unfortunately. The panel lines are they're virtually gone. So yeah, on a decent panel line, what happens is you just touch it and it flows along. You can see it. You can use the same technique with TET. I think there's just too much paint in that panel line for it to find a channel for it to flow down. I'd like to give this a good shake.
Les likes the handle on the brush.
Oh right, thanks Les. It is a good handle. Orange.
Hi Matthias.
So there we go. So what we're going to do this time is, because of that, we'll just, there's a chance that it won't even take at all. We'll just brush lightly. Yeah, it's not going to, it's disappointing, but I had a feeling that it wouldn't work out. Never know. We might have luck with the other ones. The other ones are less, have got a bit more. No, it's just not. You can see it following the line a bit there, so I don't. It doesn't quite work for me this time, but yeah. let's try. So basically, what are we doing this for? Well, we want to, obviously these planes, they get knocked about a bit. There we've got a better bit of, let's see if it'll happen for us here. Yeah, it's spreading out a bit there, you can see it. Let me just load the brush up again. I don't know if you, can you see that, Angela, there?
Yeah.
So you can see that it's spread along them lines there. We've got a better panel line here. So you just touch the point, as I've lost the point on the brush, but you just touch the point and you see it flood out along the lines, and that is capillary action in action, as though to say. Let's see whether we can get it to happen again here. There we go. So you just put your little dot, and obviously there would be less, if I used the brush with the finer point, I would probably have less of this here, but this is not, these blobs are not a problem because they'll wipe off. Now we've come to a spot here where we've lost the panel line completely, unfortunately. So we'll just come along it to the top. Yeah, and it's again not working very well here. I knew the bottom was going to be a problem. Again, that was my fault because I initially painted it the wrong colour, and I had to put lots of coats of paint on to get it white. And we'll go down into the join, the recesses, the corners where dirt would accumulate. That's where you're looking to put this. Just put a drop of it. Anywhere where you think.
Lots of different people are saying it's not pin wash.
All right. Well, I did say at the beginning I'm not an expert on this. I'm just so you know, if anyone, feel free to, if you know, correct me if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. I've got no problem at all with people correcting me. Did I call it a pin wash? I thought I just called it a panel line wash. Are they the same? I don't know. So normally you would be able to do this on all of the panel lines, and they would normally be everywhere. All these raised panel lines here, all these lines you see here, they're all raised on this. Well, normally when you buy a more modern kit, they'll all be etched into the plastic, so you can just take a very fine brush, something much finer than this. Let me give you an example. Let me try. This one's a lot finer. It's got more of a point on it. And then you can just, if you've got a panel line, I've got one at the back, you can just touch that into the panel line itself. Oh, that one doesn't work, sorry. So you go touch it into the panel line, and there we go, it flies along to the edge. And then we need minimal cleanup on that because the brush is finer, it hasn't left as much mess behind. And along there. Now, one of the other techniques you can use along with this is just to brush it on. I've seen people do this. This is be the first time I've done it. but I have seen people do this. And basically you just get your brush and literally just brush it on wherever there's detail. Brush it on, it doesn't matter, go over the decals, not a problem because they've been sealed in already. Again, go over any panel lines or anything like that. So this is a separate technique you can use. And you brush that on like that. Everywhere where you get accumulation of dirt. I'm leaving the exhaust stacks because we're going to do them with an exhaust wash in a minute. Just to
Mark, if you can mix the wash more, it does not look mixed enough.
okay, who said that?
Northern model.
Ah, that's Ivan. Thank you, Ivan. So Ivan's telling me it's not mixed enough. It did look a bit watery, but I don't know because I don't usually use it. Well, this is one of the first times I've used it. One of the ways you can mix it, if you get when it's stuck at the bottom, is to smack the bottle on the base. Give it a good shake. Let me just put that to whether it's quite a thick bottle. Normally I look for bubbles. I'll look on the bottle and you can see bubbles coming up around the surface, so you know that all the sediment's gone off the bottom. So we'll give that a go now. We'll see whether there's any difference. These are all things that, like I am, you will learn as you progress. Oh yes, yeah. There's some massive difference. It's a lot thicker, colour's a lot better. So let's go back over them. Yes, it does look like you're totally trashing your model, but it will all clean off, apart from the areas where you don't want it to. I remember the first time I saw somebody weathering something, I was horrified. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But it all works out. So there we are. We're going to leave that there just to dry briefly. While we flip over and have a look at the I'm not going to do the top straight away because we'll run out of time. So exhaust wash, I haven't got my bottle of cleaning solution. The good thing with these washes, the UMP ones, I can't speak for all washes because I don't know what's in a lot of them. The UMP ones, you can just clean. This is plain water, just plain water. Just give it give your brush a clean like this. Don't a tip on brush cleaning, don't ever leave your brush sat in a water or any container like that. What you'll find will happen, your brushes will bend at the tip there, and they will stay like that. You won't ever be able to get them back properly, and they're just destroyed the minute you do that. Another thing that you should never ever do, that I've been guilty of in the past, is you tend to put your brush in and press it against the bottom and do that as though you're grinding a pencil or something. That's not a good method either. It totally destroys your brush as well. So what you really want to do is just keep your brush off the bottom. Just give it a swirl around like that. If water is not enough on its own, you can then progress to maybe a white spirit or something if you really need to. It's not come off the barrel, but it's okay because it is water soluble. So once you've done that, lay it in some tissue and just give it a pull the brush back while rotating it at the same time, so that you end up with a nice pointed brush tip. Give it another clean after you've done that, and then again gently pull through while rotating. So that you retain a nice tip there. And then what I do every now and then, there'll come a point where it won't really want to retain its tip, and I think that's probably happening here now. So we've got a bit of a tip, but it's not really good enough. So what we can do is you can buy a substance called, well, it's not a substance, it's a product. And if you intend to keep doing brush painting as your main method, or even, you know, you want to look after your brushes, this is the product you want. It's called the Master's Brush Cleaner and Preserver. It's fantastic at fixing brushes, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do it now. So we can see that that brush there has lost its point. You can see there it's forked at the end, and once they get like that, they're of little use really. I don't like them when they go like that. So first thing we do is soak your brush in clean water. Let's get another one ready. A few drops of water on your brush preserver, and then basically you just want to gently side on at a slight angle, brush that back and forth, sort of brush motions. Do that once until your brush is loaded up, and you'll see if there's any paint on there that's not come off from previous cleaning, it will come out now. You'll see it in the soap or whatever this is. So once you've done that, back into your water again. Keep that off to the side, and then back in again for a second time. And then give that a quick dip in some clean water. And then this time, same as you've done before, pull out. And here I even go to her.
Yeah.
And there we go. One perfect tip.
About how long for the wash to dry?
Right, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to take a guess at this because I don't know. I don't know if there's a right or a wrong answer to this. I'm going to say if we flip this over, it's pretty much dry now. Yeah, it's pretty much dry already. So because we're doing this show, I'm not going to mess around waiting long times for it to dry. To me, it looks dry now, so we'll go ahead and see what we get. Maybe it's a bit too soon.
10 to 30 minutes?
Yeah. That's what I'd go with. I know some people say a little bit longer, but so for this, I'm getting a cotton bud, and then just wiping it through. I've put too much water on that. I can see that straight away. Flip round to the other side and just soak some of that up. I forgot to mention, when you dampen your tip, your Q-tip, whatever that is, just get rid of some of the excess on your kitchen roll and then come back. It's a very messy process. I think at this stage a Q-tip is probably, what I'm probably needing is actually kitchen roll more than, so just go in with this. Yeah, that's better. If you want to clear any areas, there's a few areas I can see there which are don't look right. There's too much been left behind, and as you can see, it's just not coming off with water there. What we can do there is just go over with some little bit of thinner. So we've cleaned up the main area as much as we can. Now this is when we go in with the cotton wool buds and start targeting specific areas. So where's our cotton wool buds? There we go. So we go back in now and just I'm going to use a bit of thinner on that now. Just to clean up the rafter. The centers need to look a bit cleaner, and the edges where the dirt gathers, they want to look a bit more dirty. That's what I'm going for. So this one here is what I'm considering to be a bit problematic. There we go. So I just want that that watermark that was there. I want that rid of. So we've got that.
A few people are saying don't use thinner, it'll take the paint off.
All right. So what are they suggesting to use?
The green side of the buffer to remove it, where it won't wipe off. Cellular thinners.
Well, cellulose thinners melt. No, I'm not going to use cellulose thinners, I don't think.
Water.
Yeah. And all the videos I've watched, they've done it this way. So I'll try the buffers though. I've not seen that one before. So green side.
Everybody will find their own way of using what
Yeah.
they like.
So I've got the green side of the buffer. I've never tried this one before, so this is a new one for me. Try one here. It's not working very well for me, that. No, that's not working for me. Not to worry. So it's probably something I'm getting wrong. But that's actually pretty much you've got to think these planes were very filthy. You just look at the pictures of them, and they were extremely dirty. They'd they used to take off from fields and land on fields in all weathers, and they were shot at from underneath. They were war machines. So in reality, this thing would be absolutely clarted underneath with dirt, and so I think even as it is now, it's getting off lightly. This would be relatively clean by World War II standards. Again, there we've got a stubborn piece. So I'm going to have to look into that, and I will next week. I will get back to everyone on that, but that is very stubborn. And all the videos I've seen, this they just wipe this off, and it just comes away apart from where you need it to be. For some reason, I'm not getting that result. But I did say at the beginning, I'm no good at. Weathering is my poorest skill set.
You're still learning yourself.
Yeah, I'm still very much learning myself. And that's part of why I wanted to do these shows, was the fact that I'm not so much showing you how to do something as you're learning alongside me.
Or showing you not how to do something.
Yeah, and even tonight, there's people that are watching that can say, no, actually, you need to do it this way. So, you know, that's exactly what I wanted it to be about. Everyone learning together, promoting the hobby, trying to get more people interested. I don't want to be somebody that sits and shows everyone how to do and get it all right, because YouTube's got lots of them people already. There's lots of people that can show you how to do weathering technique, and they'll just come on and show you, and then you go away and you have to learn it by yourself. Whereas that's where my channel comes in. You can come along and we can learn it together. So you can see somebody actually trying to do it for the first time, and you can relate to somebody might be watching now, sitting there thinking, yes, I have that same problem when I try weathering. And so we'll do it all together. We'll combat this together. Obviously, I've done something wrong here, or I've applied something wrong, and it's not giving me the result I like on removing the wash. I'm not sure why, but I will find out before next week, and I will let everyone know next week where I went wrong, and then hopefully that will be of some help. But you can see it's just not. In fact, it's had the opposite reaction to what we should have had. So what we should have had is the wash staying in the panel line, and then when I came along, I should have been able to remove the wash on the outside edges. But in some weird twist of fate, the wash has come out of the panel line and the rest of it stayed mucky. That's bizarre. That's absolutely bizarre. We really don't know how to explain that. So there we go. That was my attempt at showing you a wash on the bottom. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is dirty. It has got a dirty look to it, and we have got. We can see some of the lines that have become apparent there. It's certainly got a dirty appearance, which is what I wanted. So in many respects, I've achieved my result. Yeah. So where next? So now we're going to.
Said it's come out because you scrub side to side and not in the direction of the airflow.
Oh right, who said that? Ivan.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Ivan.
And Norman has said you never wipe along the panel line.
Right, there we go. But why won't it come off the surface now? Do they know? I'll speak to them later, and then I can tell everyone next week. So we're now going to put an AK exhaust wash around the exhaust stacks on the front of this. So similar as before, give the product a damn good shake. This one's a little easier to see in the bottom. I can see the bubbles at the bottom coming up. I know that the product is no longer sitting on the bottom, so it is mixing in. Weathering is a messy process. I mean, it gets everywhere. So whether it should is another matter. Right, so this time we're going to do the same. I don't know whether we're going to do the same approach or not. Yes, we are. So we're going to just gently brush over the exhaust stacks Pay particular attention to the recesses, and there we'll use that capillary action again, which works fine on this version. And then on that side, you can see it funneling along the sides there. It's working perfectly. The capillary action works fantastic on that. I don't know if you can see, it's very, brush along the bottom. We've got so we've got that on. This is an enamel product. And then what I'm going to do now for this next bit, just clean this brush. Oh, it's water. We could have done with some. Probably not going to be any good for that. So I'll sort that out in a minute because we're running out of time. I'll get some white spirit on that in a minute. An old brush. Try and find an old brush. There we go. And I'm going to use some smoke pigment. And again, a disclaimer, I have got no idea how you use this stuff. I'm just making this up as I go along now. All proper technique has been thrown out the window at this stage. And I'm just going to put that on the smoke stacks like that. Brush that over the top. Down the side. You're not exactly wanting to plant it on there, you're just brushing it on. I mean, most of it's fallen off. That's not a problem. That's not what I'm trying. And then just rub a small amount of the smoke into the surface of the plane. I perhaps should have put some sort of thinner or something on there. No, we're okay. We're okay. So we're just some brush, and basically you're wanting to put that the way smoke would go. If it was in the air and it was flying through the air, you would have smoke and it would splay out and probably funnel down the wing and off the side. So again, just exactly the way the wind would blow it, and off the side. Yeah, that's right. It will have more of an effect on this side. It's not a very good brush for this choice, really. I just grabbed the only bad brush I've got, because you don't want to be doing this with your good quality brushes, because it will bugger them up. So this is a bit not exactly the best brush for this, but and then just brush that off there as well, because we don't want all that. So you've got to imagine the wind will be rushing that through there. On that side. And then you'll get that I've probably overdone it a bit. I don't know whether you can see that effect there. There's various different ways you can do it. You could just spray Tamiya smoke lightly along the side. I'm trying to basically simulate wind blowing the smoke against the side. And, I've probably done one side too much, and then the other side not quite enough. And then all that's left really after that, when you're happy with it, is to spray over that with a matte coat or a matte a satin sheen. Another thing you can do with smoke powder, let me just quickly show you this. If I've got a tin available. Where's that other tin I use? I have to use this. There it is. Don't worry about what's in the bottom, it's just some. So you could use a bit of thinner. UMP thinner. And then just get some of your smoke pigment and mix that in like that, and it'll become like a paint, like a very watered down paint. You can put that on, you can apply that. So again, just for clarification, this, you wouldn't use this color for this part. And I've just snapped the aerial off the top. I have to get that glue back on. So if you add a pigment of dark earth or light earth, you could mix it up like that, and then you could very lightly paint it in and leave it to dry, and then I don't know whether that's actually worked out good or not. And then when that dries, you will have little bits of soot powder in there with it, so you'll have that texture as well. So that's about all I can divulge on this subject at the moment. There's lots of other things you can do with weathering, not just that. There's chipping, you can use hairspray, you can use salt to achieve techniques. There's so many things that you can do, and I hope to cover them all at some stage. I'm better at some than others. Like the hairspray technique I'm okay at. I've never done salt chipping before, but it's something that I hope that we will do on this together as a first. So that will be a first as well. And hopefully that, that will be that. Is there any questions anyone's got? No? Anything anyone's mentioned during the...
Just about the washing.
Yeah. Well, I'd just like to close by thanking you all for watching. Oh, how many viewers we have? What's the...
At one point you were up to 25.
25?
Yeah.
Crikey. So thank you all for taking the time to come and watch. I'm on every Wednesday at 8:30. Normally runs for an hour. We might look at that at some point, but for now that's ample time, because I have problems sitting for long periods. So thanks for watching. I'll be at Telford on Saturday say hello if you want to, and I will see you all next week. I haven't yet decided what we're covering next week. I have just found this in the bedroom, which I'm not certain, but I'm not very good at identifying planes, but I'm thinking this is a Lightning or something, because I'm looking at this front piece here, which to me, and it's also got them twin jets at the back that are on top of each other, vertical. So I'm wondering whether it's a Lightning. We might start that, even though it, depending on how bad it is in there, if any of the plastic's bad. But with Telford coming up, I may see something at Telford to start next week with. So I think the Spitfire's pretty much run its course now. I've just got to put the matte coat over the top, so there's nothing left for me to show on that. I hope you all enjoyed watching that, and I hope it's a fair build, given that I used only, with the exception of today with the weathering products. Up until then, I used only brushes, paints you get given with the kit, and the basic glue sets, and that's it. So I hope that's a fair crack at that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.